we need to address the problem at its source, and the source of the violence is the men who commit it.
Tonight, in a province with a high rate of violence against women, there's going to be money and programs to help the men behind the problem.
The way that we've been able to present about the witness blanket, about residential school history in the context of global genocide, I think is critical to holding this country.
The artist and the institution pulling back the covers on Canada's own brand of genocide.
Being able to sit there in a ceremony and understand what the elders saying in the language.
And waking up Ojibwe, going full throttle on bringing Anishinaabemowin into more classrooms in Ontario. Good evening, welcome to APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. We begin tonight in Alberta, where a man is facing charges following the death of a woman from the Stoney Nakota First Nation. As a court appearance nears, family and friends of the woman are seeking answers. Tamara Pimentel has that story.
A memorial is placed along this highway that runs through the Stoney Nakota First Nation. It was here on April 18, 2021, where police were called to assist emergency services with an unresponsive female, later identified as 23-year-old Keisha Crawler. Her mother, Heather Poussette, says she's determined to find out how her daughter ended up here.
My daughter did not ask for this. She's a mother of 2 kids. My oldest granddaughter is 5. My grandson is 3. They're asking, where is my mom?
A press release from RCMP says the investigation suggests Crawler departed from a moving vehicle, then was placed back into the vehicle. She was later found and pronounced deceased. No more information can be given at this time, and 37-year-old Brian Kellerick House Jr. has been charged with criminal negligence causing death. Poussette says House was Crawler's boyfriend.
And it's so hard to swallow because, I never think that it would come a day when I had to bury my own daughter, and it's so hard. And look at all the lives that she had touched. Look at all her beautiful friends here.
Her friends and family describe Crawler as adventurous and willing to try new things.
She made friends easy. She made her friends easy. Yeah. She was humorous and then kind, and she was really humble, compassionate. We will miss her fried bannock. She made one good fried bannock.
We talked about 10 years from now, 15 years from now, what we would be doing. I would have never thought she would be gone like this.
House has been released on bail and is to appear in Cochrane Provincial Court on May 25th. Tamara Pimentel, APTN National News on the Stoney Nakota First Nation.
When announcing its, quote, historic 5-year plan to fight domestic violence, the Quebec government promised they'd be extending a hand to healing programs for men. And today, less than a week later, the province dropped the additional funding announcement. Close to $20 million will be invested in men's programs to increase their staffing and client capacity. Domestic violence has killed 10 women in the province over the last 3 months, including 2 Inuit women. But Quebec did not specifically indicate who will receive the funding or if any Indigenous organizations will be recipients. A point person for the province will also be assessing the existing programs and will report back about funding needs and best practices by December. Deputy Premier Geneviève Guilbeault says the goal is to keep doors open for men seeking help.
Because it is a priority to help women, to help children, this goes without saying. But we need to address the problem at its source, and the source of the violence is the men who commit it. So we must be able to help them and prevent them from making more victims throughout their life, because after a woman he will have another companion, another girlfriend, and he will make serial victims.
Well, we want to hear what you have to say about this or any other story you see here. Here's how you can get in touch. You can send us an email at news@aptn.ca or leave a comment on our website. That's aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and now TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Well, after 2.5 weeks of election uncertainty in the Yukon, the territory's Liberal and NDP parties have agreed to work together to support a Liberal government to guide the Yukon forward. APTN's Sarah Connors explains.
It's been a whirlwind election here in the Yukon, but now it seems a stable government is locked into place. Yesterday, Liberal leader Sandy Silver and NDP leader Kate White announced they've reached a confidence in supply agreement. That agreement sets out the terms for collaboration in areas deemed important by both parties. It will be in place from now until January 31st, 2023. Under it, the NDP will be able to deliver on many of their campaign promises, like a territory-wide public dental plan, safe supply of opioids, and raising the minimum wage.
This agreement commits both of our caucuses to working together. There are provisions in this agreement that will bring NDP MLAs into a government conversations on legislation and other issues that require joint efforts as well.
Now, it's important to remember this agreement is not a formal coalition, meaning the NDP cannot hold cabinet positions, though a member can sit as Deputy Speaker and a chair of the Committee of the Whole. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Time for a quick break, but stick around. We're going to check out the new exhibits at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. Stay with us. Welcome back. Two new exhibits exploring the impact of residential schools are opening at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights this week, including the display of the Witness Blanket, a large-scale project which brings together pieces of history from that era. Brittany Hobson caught up with some of the artists involved and brings us this.
More than 800 items make up the Witness Blanket, all representing the experiences of residential school survivors. The piece was created by master carver Carrie Newman, and for the first time since 2017, it's on public display at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights.
This new exhibit, Preserving a Legacy, revolves around the restoration and the conservation of the various pieces on the blanket, taking into consideration, where the pieces came from. What is the stories and spirit that are held within each of them, and how do you best care for them in a museum setting where you aren't disrupting or affecting their that sort of underlying purpose for being.
In 2019, Newman entered into an agreement with the museum in Winnipeg, which would see the CMHR work with the artist to preserve the large piece.
The museum is a place of dialogue. It's a place of conversation, and the partnership that we have and the way that we've been able to present about the Witness Blanket, about residential school history in the context of global genocide, I think is critical to holding this country, holding ourselves to account.
For years, the blanket was on a traveling tour, but wear and tear from that prompted Newman to halt the tour. Stephanie Chapilsky is part of the team tasked with preserving and conserving the piece.
We're trying to honor the spirit of each material. It's not just physical. There's a living quality to each material on the Witness Blanket.
One of those pieces is a statue of the Virgin Mary. Artist Linda Young submitted the piece from her residential school in Onion Lake Cree Nation. Young's work is also featured in Artivism, another exhibit opening alongside the Witness Blanket. It uses art to share the stories of mass atrocities and genocides across the world, including the creation of residential schools.
And I don't really know on one level what genocide means, but I do know what it feels like to be in a place and you are taken and it's like you just get turned inside out, you get disconnected from your family.
The Auschwitz Institute in New York developed the exhibit. They reached out to the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation to ask them to provide pieces from their collection.
As an archivist, I thought, which one would have, the most artistic expression, a combination of artistic expression and just a poignant embodiment of the experience of residential schools.
Young submitted the installation to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in 2012. At the time, she never believed it would be put on the international stage.
My goal was that I wanted that to take up space in the Ottawa archives, because for me, that story and all the survivor stories needed to be preserved, kept, and remembered.
Both exhibits are on display until January 2022. Brittany Hobson, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
If you're interested in more on the witness blanket, we did a face-to-face with Carrie Newman last year. You can find that at aptnnews.ca. To Saskatchewan now, where 3 women are making history. And it's the first time that the Woodland Cree area has been governed by 3 women at the same time. APTN's Priscilla Wolf has the story.
Karen Bird, a member of the South End Cree Nation, was elected chief of the Peter Ballantyne Cree Nation this week.
I am very humbled, first of all, to be the first woman in my community of South End Reindeer Lake, my home community, to be the first chief here.
Bird comes from a line of leaders.
My great-grandfather, I should say, Arthur Morin, was a chief also. So I come from a line of leadership, and, as a young girl, I've always admired what kind of work.
Bird now joins her good friend, Chief Joyce McLeod of Montreal Lake Cree Nation, and Chief Tammy Cook-Searson, who has been the chief of the Lac La Ranche Indian Band for 16 years. McLeod says the trio are connected to the land and their culture.
All 3 of us are hunters, we're trappers, and we're fishermen. All 3 of us. Because we originate from that's the background, how we were raised, and we are so connected to our culture, so connected with our language.
Chief Tammy Cook-Searson says she is looking forward to working with these women leaders.
I'm really proud of Chief Karen Bird that just got elected with the Peter Ballantyne Cree Nation, and I actually talked to her just a little while ago to congratulate her, and I also spoke to Chief Joyce McLeod this afternoon, and just talking about business with FSIN. So I'm looking forward to working with them.
Chief Bird says they will be having meetings speaking Woodland Cree.
I love to speak my language when I can, and now that I can, speak to Tammy is a fluent speaker, and Chief Tammy is very involved in her traditional roots, and so am I, and so is Joyce.
Bird says the membership chose her, and she will make them proud.
It's also a great day, in our Woodland Cree Nation, to celebrate, we've made history.
Priscilla Wolf, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Some great history to be making there. Time for another quick break, and then we'll hear about a program helping people learn Anishinaabemowin. Stick around. Welcome back. Time now to take a look at our photo of the day. And today's photo is this amazing shot of a stream cutting its way through the forest. But we don't know where this is. Sheila may be wanting to keep this location private, and I don't blame her. Be sure to include any details you can with your photos, as we enjoy learning about the places you visit and the things you see. Send your photos to share@aptn.ca for our chance to be our next photo of the day. Time now to take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 10 in St. John's, 11 with showers for Halifax, 0 with snow in Inukjuak, rain, and 7 for Kuujjuaq. 10 above and showers for Montreal, 13 and partly cloudy in Chibougamau. Sunny and 5 for Sault Ste. Marie, 17 in North Bay. 13 under sunny skies for Thunder Bay, sunny and 10 for Sioux Lookout. 5 in God's Lake and partly cloudy, 5 with snow for Norway House. 14 and showers in Winnipeg, 20 for Brandon. 23 with showers in Saskatoon, 24 and rain for Regina. +2 with the rain-snow mix in Uranium City, 0 in Stony Rapids. In northern Alberta, 16 and sunny for Grand Prairie, showers and 17 in Fort McMurray. 26 in Medicine Hat, showers and 20 for Edmonton. Rain and 17 for Vancouver and Victoria. 11 with showers for Prince George, 9 in Dease Lake. 7 in Old Crow, 10 with a chance of snow for Whitehorse. 14 in Trout Lake with rain, 0 and snow in Yellowknife. -4 in Sax Harbor, +1 in Inuvik. 9 below for Baker Lake and Cambridge Bay. -10 in Resolute, -1 with snow in Igloo Lake. Some sad news to pass along now. Judge, lawyer, and politician Thomas Berger has died at the age of 88 after a battle with cancer. He's remembered by many for his work to recognize Indigenous rights and land claims. Berger is remembered for his work with Nisga'a Nation when the Supreme Court of Canada first acknowledged the existence of Aboriginal title to land. In the 1970s, he led the inquiry that halted the development of a pipeline project in the NWT's Mackenzie Valley. Berger also represented First Nations in their work to stop modifications of Yukon's Peel River watershed and was sought for legal counsel on issues surrounding Trans Mountain Pipeline. 10 First Nations communities in southwest Ontario have been working towards revitalizing Anishinaabemowin in their communities. Since 2017, they have created over 50 books, children's shows, and most recently have made 3 language learning apps. Daryl Stranger has more.
It's so important that people see that there's hope and there's an ability to get that language back.
Started in 2017, the Ojibwe language strategy called Anishinaabemowin is working towards revitalizing Anishinaabe language throughout Ontario. The program works with youth in preschools all the way up to post-secondary education and anyone who just wants to learn. The program is a partnership between Rainy River School Board, 7 Generations Education Institute, and Say It First, with 10 First Nation communities in Ontario. Say It First wants to reduce language loss and produce more speakers of Indigenous language.
It's their creator, it's their language, and every action we take is helping somebody connect back. So it's not about ego, and it's not about I did this and you did that. It's how do we connect people back to their culture and their language? And I think and we've been unwavering on that.
Educational resources from the program include books, videos, songs, and games for people to learn and practice their skills with the language. Heather Campbell is the Director of Education at Rainy River School District School Board. She says students taking Ojibwe courses in Fort Frances have been on the rise since the initiative started.
There was a time where French was the dominant language, where you see more students taking French and very few students enrolled past grade 9. Now we are equal to, in some cases, surpassing the number of French students. So that speaks a lot to the relevance, the importance of language to our students, but also they're seeing it as a possibility in their futures.
7 Generations is an Indigenous-led educational organization that provides community-based and student-centered learning opportunities through language and culture. Brent Tukeny is president and a member of Couchiching First Nation. He says the importance of understanding Anishinaabemowin without translation is key to getting the full effect of the language and culture.
being able to sit there in a ceremony and understand what the elder's saying in the language, because as you know, literal translation of Anishinaabemowin to English, there's things that are lost. You need to understand the Anishinaabemowin in ceremony and in you know what we're doing on our communities, because there's things lost when you translate it to English, and so that's what's really important.
One of the goals of the program is to eventually have those youth learning the language now to grow up and teach the language to the next generation. All of the program's resources are available for free online for anyone to access. Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Great resources there. Nadine Mustus is speaking out about her past. The Winnipeg woman joined a class action lawsuit last year. 57 women filed against former fashion designer Peter Nygaard. In those court documents, she's known as Jane Doe number 44. Her allegations have not been proven in court. Here's a preview of Homegrown, Part 2.
I have a new clothing line coming up. You'd be perfect for a model. I covered it up for so long. Everything, shopping, working, making money, drinking. At the end of the day, it was always there. I need to be brave, and I need to be courageous. And I think the Indigenous community needs to know it was me. That's the start of healing. That's how it starts. That's how it begins, is by saying something and speaking about it.
Nadine Mustus is speaking about her past for the first time.
And if you'd like to catch up on part 1 of Homegrown, you can do that by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. Well, it's Thursday, and that means Nation to Nation is set to go. Here's host Todd Lamarand with what he's got cooking on today's show.
On today's show, we take a deeper dive into the membership mess on the Peters First Nation. It's a small community in the Fraser Valley, just east of Vancouver. It has a custom membership code, but many say it's unfairly keeping people off the membership list who deserve to be on it. In fact, in many cases, they're recognized as status by the federal government, but not as community members by chief and council. We'll talk to a mother and daughter who are taking the issue to the Human Rights Commission, and to a lawyer who has represented members who took the case to federal court and won. That's coming up in a matter of minutes. I'll see you then.
Looks like Todd's got another great episode coming up for you in less than 2 minutes' time. And that is all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Thursday. For news anytime, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your night.